Good afternoon. Israeli strikes on Nasser hospital in southern Gaza have killed at least 15 people, including 4 journalists, one working for Reuters and another for Al Jazeera, according to Palestinian health officials. There were further strikes in the north as the military operation around Gaza City continues.
Rescuers rushed to help following a drone strike on Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis this morning. Seconds later, the staircase was enveloped in smoke as a missile struck the hospital. Among the fatalities from the double strike were 4 journalists, including Hussam al-Masri, a cameraman working as a contractor for Reuters. Al-Masri's final story, shot just 2 days ago, showed the aftermath of a strike on a tent camp and bodies being brought to the morgue, where his loved ones will now mourn over his body. Al Jazeera confirmed that their journalist Mohammed Salama was killed, and the Associated Press said Mariam Abu Daka, a freelance journalist who worked for the agency, also died in the strike. Health officials named another journalist, Moaz Abu Taha, and a rescue worker among the dead. The Israeli military said it does not target journalists and regrets any harm to uninvolved individuals. Strikes continued in Gaza City also as preparations for a full-scale ground operation continued. Reinforcements are ready at the border, but Israeli media reports that the country's military chief, Eyal Zamir, has said that there is a deal on the table and that it is now in Prime Minister Netanyahu's hands to accept the deal agreed by Hamas last week. Zamir has reportedly argued against a full-scale occupation, citing fears of endangering the lives of hostages and miring an exhausted military in a longer war. Gazans mourning the loved ones in Khan Yunis today will be hoping Mr Netanyahu listens to the pleas for peace. Fergal Gallagher, RTE News.
Minister for Enterprise Peter Burke has warned there are very significant challenges and a huge amount of global trading tensions as the government is set to announce new support to mitigate the impact of US tariffs on Irish businesses. The action plan on market diversification will see new markets targeted in response to the 15% tariffs being placed on EU exports to the US. The plan contains over 100 actions. The government says this is to help mitigate against current risks and to bolster economic resilience.
The key thing is that, going into be it South Korea to ensure that we're getting additional footprints from IDA and Enterprise Ireland, ensuring that markets like Canada, like Latin America, and getting huge new opportunities there. And we have been very much focused on the UK and the EU and the US as our key marketplaces. So this is about looking at new opportunities, and it's also about new areas that we need to focus for additional investment.
And our political correspondent Paul Cunningham joins us now from Leinster House. Paul, clearly the threat of economic dislocation from tariffs is a very real one.
Yeah, the Minister had sort of what appeared to be a twin-track approach today. On the one hand, he wanted to be reassuring, saying that Ireland has more people employed than ever before. Our economy is expanding and state agencies like the IDA and Enterprise Ireland have their books full of new opportunities and potential. And yet at the same time, he's saying it is a massive challenge to the economy given what the United States protectionist and punitive policies when it comes to the economy are going to be in relation to those tariffs. So the answer, he said, was for Ireland to make a bit of a shift to continue to ensure that the UK, the EU and American markets were core, but also to try and expand, particularly into areas like the Asia Pacific. But let's be real here. There is a massive challenge facing the Irish government. It's going to have to deliver those new markets because the turbulence is most certainly going to remain for at least as long as Donald Trump is president. OK, and separately, Paul, there's some concern about the future of the UNIFIL peacekeeping operation in Lebanon. Yes, Irish peacekeeping troops have been based in southern Lebanon since 1978, and every year the United Nations Security Council basically affirms the mission. This time it's different, David. The United States and Israel want the mission to come to an end on August 31st of next year. France and Ireland and the Lebanese government are lobbying against that, trying to have some sort of review with decisions taken later. That critical vote is going to come up possibly on Wednesday. It hasn't been nailed down yet, but here's the key thing. If UNIFIL goes, it'll be a massive challenge for the Irish Defence Forces because that is and continues to be our largest overseas deployment. OK, Paul Cunningham in Leinster House, thank you for that.
The Health Service Executive's Breast Check National Screening Service has missed its screening targets for 2 years in a row, according to new figures. The target last year was for 195,000 people to be screened, but the service performed 57,800 fewer screenings than planned.
Over 3,500 new cases of breast cancer are diagnosed here each year. Free national screening is offered to those aged 50 to 69 years under the Breast Check programme. New figures from the HSE show that the National Screening Service has missed its own targets 2 years in a row. The figures showed that last year, under the Breast Check Screening Service, the HSE target was for 195,000 people to be screened, but the service performed just over 137,100 checks. In 2023, the target was to have 185,000 people screened, but the service performed just over 166,500 checks. The data was secured through a parliamentary question submitted by the Aontú leader, Peadar Tóibín. He said the collapse in screening will lead to deaths.
It's quite clear that there's been a significant fall in the number of breast check screenings in the last couple of years, and that's serious. And that means there's going to be fewer cancers detected, fewer advanced cancers detected, and potentially there will be more tragic deaths as a result of this.
The cancer screening programme Cervical Check exceeded its target last year, while Bowel Screen fell slightly short of its target. The HSE said that breast screening is being affected by a global shortage of radiology staff, and that it's not been possible to increase screening numbers to keep pace with population growth. But it said it's recruiting more consultants, radiographers and adding more mobile units. The HSE also said that uptake of breast check screening is high, with 72% of those invited availing of it. Fergal Bowers, RTE News.
Gardaí have issued a warning about student accommodation fraud ahead of an expected increase in scams. There was a 22% increase in reports of accommodation fraud in the first half of this year, Gardaí said, with around 1/3 of all such fraud cases occurring during August and September each year.
With the search for student digs set to get into full swing, today a timely warning of renter beware. Reports of accommodation fraud are on the up. It includes a victim paying a deposit and later finding out that the accommodation either doesn't exist or is already occupied, the keys don't work and the so-called landlord has disappeared.
Gardaí say such fraud is on the rise. There were 160 reported cases in the first 6 months of this year. Would-be renters scammed out of a total of €385,000.
Today, Gardaí said there are warning signs to look out for.
If the rent is too low, well then that would be a red flag. If they're looking for payment in cash or in cryptocurrency or iTunes gift cards, that'd be another red flag.
It all comes as latest figures show that current market rents are on average 6.9% higher than a year ago. The scramble for accommodation seemingly costlier than ever. Conor Hunt, RTE News.
3 Irish beaches have been deemed to be littered, according to the latest Irish Business Against Litter survey, their most favourable result in 8 years. It found that of 33 beaches, harbours and rivers monitored in June and July, 17 were deemed clean, a 50% increase on the previous survey. Areas marked as littered fell from 11 to 3, while no areas surveyed were found to be heavily littered. In sports news, golfer Tommy Fleetwood is celebrating today after winning his first PGA Tour title at the 164th time of asking. The 34-year-old held his nerve to sink the winning putt on the 18th green at the season-ending Tour Championship. It was an emotional victory for Fleetwood, who has fallen short in pursuit of victories several times in recent weeks. Russian Daniil Medvedev has crashed out in the first round of the US Open after an on-court meltdown. The Russian lost his cool after a photographer walked onto the court during his match. He clashed with the umpire as boos rang out from the crowd. After the defeat, the 2021 champion smashed his racket and broke down in tears. And that is the news this Monday lunchtime. We'll be back later with the 6-1. Until then, have a good afternoon.